Chapter 46, Flying Tigers and Baby Elephants. Well, Allie, Albert says to me at lunchtime, before I really knew you, I used to call you the Flying Tiger. Oh, Albert, that's a great name, Keisha says, like fierce. Like nobody messes with her, right? I wish that described me, but it doesn't. Why in the world would he nickname me that? I thought that Albert paid more attention to things. I look up and he's watching me. Well, he asks, aren't you wondering why I called you that? I shrug. It's not an insult, just my observation. I shrug again. Fine, tell me then. Before the United States entered World War II, there were a bunch of American pilots in China. They were called the Flying Tigers. They flew those planes with the shark teeth on the nose. Wait, I say, my dad and brother love those planes. He nods once as I try hard to shake out the mind movie of me as an airplane. They did not have many planes, so they would repaint them every few missions, change a bit of the design and the numbers so that the Japanese would think there were far more of them than there really were. I sort of know what he means. I've watched you, trying to figure out how to repaint yourself for other people all the time, trying to make them think one thing about you when the opposite was true. Like with the teachers, always getting sent to the office. Wow, I can't believe Albert noticed all this. Okay, Keisha asked, do you name everyone like that? I like analogies. They interest me and help me understand. What about me? Did you have a nickname for me? He hesitates. Okay, Professor, spill it, Keisha says. Listen, you better tell me and tell me now. Albert says, the baby. What? The baby? Are you kidding me? She gets a great name like the Flying Tiger and you called me the baby? What the heck is that supposed to mean? He turns red. I didn't want to offend you. Well, it's just a little too late for that. I'm going to send you into space where no man has gone before. No kidding. Is Keisha quoting Star Trek now? The girl has lost her mind. I called you the baby because when you're quiet, you're taking everything in. But when you want something, you're loud about it and usually get your way pretty fast. I burst out laughing. Oh man, Keisha, that is just too perfect. She folds her arms with a bit of a but then begins to laugh too. Albert, do you have one for yourself? I ask. When he doesn't say no, I know it means yes. Tell us, Keisha says. I'm the elephant. Because you're big? I ask. No, Keisha says, because he has a good memory. Elephants do have good memories, he says, but that isn't why I chose it as my symbolic name. Then why? I ask. Well, I've become a pachyderm. Is that a religion? I ask. His face twitches a bit. No, an elephant is a pachyderm. It means an animal with a thick skin. I guess we're all pachyderms then, or we pretend to be. His finger picks at the side of his thumb. Elephants feel a wide range of emotions, but their behavior remains constant. On the outside, happy and sad often look the same. I can't remember the last time I had nothing to say about something. All this time, I thought that Albert was the science guy with as much feeling as a pine cone. But I was wrong. All that watching he does, all that thinking, he really does understand things. He definitely gets me. Chapter 47. Great minds don't think alike. Mr. Daniels looks really happy as he makes an announcement to us one morning. Today, my Fantasticos, we are going to jump from our social studies unit and talk a little bit about some famous people. People I bet some of you know. He takes out pictures and stands them up on the tray of the board. They almost cover the length of it, and I worry that we will have a test or have to write down about our favorite. Mr. Daniels seems electric. I'll say the name, and then you tell me if you know why they're famous. Deal? No need to raise your hands. Just call out. Wow, he's breaking the biggest teacher rule ever. He points to the first picture. Thomas Edison. Wait, I know who that is, I squeak out. He invented the light bulb. Great, Allie. But if you know, don't answer like a question. Declare your answer. I imagine myself at a podium in front of thousands of people, arms in the air, declaring my answer. What about this one, he asks. Max says, Alexander Graham Bell, who invented the telephone. I did a report on him. Most excellent work, Mr. Daniel says. The next one is George Washington. Everyone knows that one. Henry Ford, he asks. He invented the car, I declare. Well, he did begin Ford Motor Company, but he didn't invent the car. He perfected the moving assembly line, which was a very clever way to build a lot of cars fast. Oh, Allie, how do you know about these inventors? My mom bought a DVD called Schoolhouse Rock. It has a cartoon about inventors. Ah, yes, Schoolhouse Rock is awesome. Next one, Albert Einstein. He says this one like he's introducing someone on a game show. Albert raises his hand. Yes, Albert. Albert Einstein was born in Germany on March 14th, 1879. He is considered the greatest human mind to ever have lived in the fields of physics, mathematics, and philosophy. He changed all of science with his ideas. My father says that the field of science was like Pinocchio as the puppet, and Einstein changed it into a real boy. Does he really? Mr. Daniels laughs. That's brilliant. Is your father a scientist, Albert? Yes, sir. He named me after Albert Einstein, so I know a lot about him. Keisha whispers to him, Is that why you style your hair after him? She turns to me. That boy has never even seen a comb. Style my hair? Albert asks, confused. Mr. Daniels walks back toward the pictures. I have a feeling that Albert's father is quite a scientist indeed. We go through the rest of the pictures. Leonardo da Vinci, famous painter of the Mona Lisa, also a gifted inventor. Pablo Picasso, another famous painter who created a modern style that no one had ever seen before. Patricia Polacco, talented illustrator and author. Whoopi Goldberg, hilarious comedian and actress. Henry Winkler, famous actor and author. Muhammad Ali, world heavyweight champion in boxing. John F. Kennedy, 35th President of the United States. Winston Churchill, Prime Minister of England during World War II. His intelligence and grit kept the Nazis from taking over England. In fact, all of these people had grit to spare. Grit, I like that word. John Lennon of the Beatles. Walt Disney, creator of Mickey Mouse. Then Mr. Daniels stands back. Don't you all agree that this is a stunning group of talent? Is there anyone here that would be willing to stand up and say that any of these people were stupid? Everyone shakes their heads. Albert gave us a great rundown of Albert Einstein, but did you know that he was kicked out of school when he was young? His report card said that he was too slow to amount to anything. In fact, he had trouble tying his shoes. But he was and remains one of the greatest minds we've ever seen. I remember when I had a hard time tying my shoes. Travis sat with me for a long time teaching me the baby way where you make the rabbit ears. I stare at Einstein's picture with his crazy white hair that looks like he had an accident with a light socket. How could he figure out something like time travel and not know the months of the calendar? Mr. Daniels says, some people say that John Lennon is one of the most gifted spiritual musicians ever. He walks over and points to Walt Disney. What about this guy? Did you know he was told by a teacher that he wasn't creative enough? He moves over. How about Henry Ford? How about Henry Ford? He was born understanding how an engine would work. He just knew without studying it. Hey, that's like Travis. He walks toward the windows, knew exactly how it should go together. He never went to school for it. But he was such a genius with machines, he worked as Thomas Edison's engineer for a while. He built his first car by hand, by building a motor and putting it in between two bicycles. And with his idea of using a moving assembly line, he ushered in a new world. He walks back toward the board. You know what all of these people have in common? He asks the class. Then he stands in front of my desk and looks me dead in the eye. Many believe that they all had dyslexia. I feel it in my gut. In fact, I feel it everywhere. He smiles a bit. That's right. As children, they struggle to read even simple words. And based on some other clues as well, most experts now believe that they had dyslexia. But of course, we know their struggles weren't because they were stupid. It's just that their minds work differently. And thank goodness they did, because otherwise we may not have had telephones or light bulbs or stunning works of art. He smiles. Oh, and we wouldn't have had Mickey Mouse. He's quiet for a while. I think he's letting it sink in. So then, for your homework, I have an extra credit assignment. He turns on the smart board and there's writing. I'll show you what it looks like. Right here. The class is already complaining that they can't read it, complaining that it makes no sense. It's a code, he says. Each letter stands for another. Extra credit for anyone who can crack it. It isn't exactly like reading with dyslexia, but it will give you a taste of how hard it is, how long it takes. Then he looks at me, and how smart you have to be to persevere. He dismisses us, and everyone starts to get ready to go home. But I'm still staring at the pictures of all those famous people and wondering if they felt like me when they were young. Did they feel stupid? Did they wonder what would become of them? Mr. Daniels squats next to me. Allie? Although the room is loud, it's like the sounds are far away. Are you okay, Allie? Mr. Daniels asks. I turn to him and have to clear my throat before speaking. Is it true? All those people there? I look back at their pictures. All of those people couldn't read? Like me? Indeed, he says, smiling. Not that they couldn't read. They just needed to learn a different way, that's all. He puts an oval-shaped piece of metal in front of me. This is a paperweight, he says. It's a gift for you. For me? Yes, look. He points at each word as he reads them. Never, never, never quit. Winston Churchill. I pick it up. It's heavy. I'm not going to give it to you as a reminder because I know that you will keep at it. I've really gotten a sense lately of how hard you've had to work to learn what you have. And, he says, laughing, you have fooled a lot of smart people. So how smart does that make you? I swallow hard. I'm giving it to you because I want you to know that I've noticed. And that you're going to be okay, Allie. He leans forward a bit. Better than okay, actually. My head swims with all that's changed. In school and in me. Okay, we have chapter 48, 49, 50, and 51. And we'll read it all tomorrow.